All right, guys. So for today's practice, we are going to solve question number 6. Write a program that asks user to enter a number n and then so make a choice of either to calculate the summation or the product from 1 through n. Okay, and then so for this question, so we are going to practice the basic loop along with the user input and output, and of course the if statement. And I would like to add one more component into my program. That is, I'm going to use a function or two functions, one for each, to capture the functionality of summation and product. All right, so without further ado, so let's go ahead and get started. And besides using the one compiler along with the question, okay, so I decided to use the Xcode Draw here to demonstrate my class note, along with what we can actually have a flow chart drawn to help us to understand this question. Okay, so the flow chart is a diagram that shows the flow of your program. And of course, also if you're new to programming and never heard of the flowchart or never used flowchart before, no worries. Okay, it is to help us to understand these concepts. If also a tool is making you confused, so don't use it in the first place. Okay, and gradually say yeah, so it start making sense, and then so you can go ahead and embed it too. Okay, all right. So this is what we have, and you can tell from my notes that. I would like to get two things entered from user. Okay, so the first is the number n, and the second will be also what choice that you're going to make. You want me to do the summation or you want me to do the multiplication? Okay, and I mentioned here, so that I'm going to build two functions besides the main. Of course, main is a function, and that is to say, so for our program, we're going to have three functions. So the first one is the main, or you can call it function 0, or the default one is the main. And we're going to add a new function that adds all numbers from 1 through n. Okay, so here 1 through n. Let's say so assume n is 5. Then I'm going to add 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. And if I calculate this right, the summation should be 15, right? So this is what I mean through n. And sometimes when you see 1 to n, and then so the n becomes exclusive. That is, you don't want to add the last number. That happens too, but I'm going to mention 1 through n. Okay. Second function, f2 here. It is about multiply all numbers again, so from 1 through n. Okay, and be careful about this multiplication because the number goes large quickly. Okay, goes let's say so if you have 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times 6 times 7 times 8 9 10, quickly it becomes a fairly large number. Okay, of course you say, hey, so that's actually the factorial of n or factorial of 10. Yes, you're absolutely right. Okay, and be careful with the factorial calculation. If you are using C++ only the basic type, because also when we say we are going to have an integer, we have a number, code number in C++, actually we have limited assumed space, okay, allocated to host that number. And for typical C++, an integer takes 4 bytes, okay. On different machines or different compilers, you may have different, well, so space. Let's say the typical one, you have 4 bytes, and that is 32 bits, okay. And for first bit or the last bit, it's up to you, and up to the ending system. Okay, so 1 bit is dedicated for the sign bits, either 0 for positive or 1 for negative, and the rest, the 31, are for the magnitude. Okay, and if you do the math 2 to the power of 31, you can easily tell that, hey, so the range will be from minus or negative 2 billion all the way to positive 2 billion. I forgot the detailed numbers, but that will be the range. Okay, so be careful with the multiplication. But it's a simple practice question, right? We can have some assumptions like the user's input is always legit. That is to say, when we ask user to enter a number, let's say so you enter n, and then so I assume this n is an integer which is greater or equal to 1. Okay, you don't give me 0 or minus numbers here. But yeah, so be a good user input, right? And second, the choice to make about what either to do the multiplication or do the product. I want the user's choice to be legit as well, either 1 or 2. Okay, we're going to use numbers for that, not characters, although we could use characters. Okay, so for example, S for summation and P for product, or M for multiplication, it's up to you. But right here, so 1 or 2, yeah, simple integers, and let's assume user always gave the correct input here. Okay, And another important assumption is there's no number overflow because we don't want to deal with that question for this moment now. Although you may build your custom type that use some dynamic array or dynamic memory to host arbitrarily. It's not that arbitrary, but in a good range, arbitrarily large numbers, yes, surely you can do that. Okay, or so you say, hey, so let's go switch to Python for the programming. Yeah, that is another approach as well. So Python, by default, okay, so they have dynamic range or dynamic space. So for your numbers, okay, and then so it's up to also how many digits or what is the magnitude does your program need to store. So the Python will allocate the space for you automatically. Okay, all right. So these are important notes that I would like to keep in my mind, and of course also now. So go to our program. Okay, so inside this one compiler. And you say, hey, so how can I do the multiple input here and output here? So let's start with a incremental way, right? So not step by step, but let me go ahead and do this. Still the step number one. Okay, so let's do it incrementally, not step by step, but let's go for, hey, so this is the basic. Okay, so input and output. Okay, because I need to make sure that the users able to also we were able to handle multiple users input output from here. Okay, so from the standard in. Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, and then so you can tell that, hey, so I have two variables or I have two integers ready. Okay, and then so of course also I'm going to call the standard. Okay, cin, and I will just maybe I will output a message. Okay, so let's say so this is the standard. So please, okay, so enter the number n. Okay, and then so I'm going to you see the problem is also I use variables m and n, but actually so please enter the number n here. So yes, that's to say, so I'd better rename it, okay, incrementally. So this is the number n along with user's choice, right? So let's assume that this choice is either 1 or 0, okay? And then so of course now, so with the name updated, I can say, hey, please enter the number n here, okay? And the next is what the standard cout now, okay? So it goes by what? Now make a choice, okay? So make a choice. Let's do 1 for summation and the 2 for 1 for summation and the 2 for what? 2 for multiplication. Okay, multiplication. All right, so that's right here. I'm expecting user to see into my choice here. Okay, all right. So without further ado, so let's go ahead and test some. So if you have the one compiler program here, and if you just go ahead and click the run button, okay, it is going to give you the hint in the output. Okay, so in the output length, and of course also let's say so this n is 10. Okay, enter the 10, and then so you can tell that, hey, so it's not just taking our inputs like immediately, right? And then so it actually outputs everything, but I assume that, hey, so this may not end correctly. Okay, so I may receive a timeout error so from one compiler because it doesn't want to just waste limited resources on a buggy program, right? So now, so let's just say, so I do need to prepare my inputs, okay, in one batch, okay, and then so you can tell that, hey, so this is not doing anything, but let me go ahead and then there's no stop button. Okay, so it actually ends automatically. So, oh, I forgot to, let's go ahead and check whether we have entered this number correctly. Okay, so by doing the output, okay, and by doing the output, of course, also later on we can say that, hey, so let's go ahead and use some breakpoint and debugger for that. Yeah, that would be wonderful as well. And but now, so let's just do the output, okay, and this is the choice and the standard end of the line. All right, so with that, let's go and hit the run button. You can tell that, hey, so it didn't take any choice because we didn't give any choice. And then so it goes by the default 0 here, okay? It's nice to have, okay? So it's not all compilers or so the environment will default an integer to 0. So if the cin fails. But anyway, so let me go ahead and do the, let's say, so the choice is 1 for summation, okay? And also you can tell that, hey, so the output right here. So this is not very nice, right? So because also I would like to do a /n. Okay, you say, hey, so what is /n? That is actually a escape sequence or escape character indicating a new line. So I want a new line at the beginning of this message. Okay, with that, let me hit the run button again. All right, right here you can tell that, hey, so please enter the number n here and takes the input 10, and now make a choice 1 or 2, okay? And then so it takes that. And also I can use this escape character /n here as well, and rerun the program, do it incrementally, and you can tell that, hey, so actually our output is 10 and the choice is 1 actually reflects what we entered from the standard input here, okay? Of course, you say, hey, so let's go ahead and use more lines. Yeah, not a problem. And then so we will have better organized output here, okay? So that you can, well, so this is the basic input and outputs on one compiler. It can work this way. Excellent, okay? Now, go ahead and really build our program. So at least we have these choices done, right? And you can see that, hey, so let's go ahead and put that into a function. No, so let's leave it here. Don't introduce too many functions, okay? But I'm going to introduce my function's signature here, okay? So that is to say, so function signature is what you want the compiler to check, and what you want to declare before you implement, before you write anything for the function. You say, hey, so let's go ahead and we will have, okay, so this is like a assumption. We are going to have this function. Hopefully you can find it somewhere, okay, so either through our implementation or through some standard libraries, okay, or through some third-party libraries that will be installed, okay, or through some runtime, okay, right here. So let's say, so I'm going to say this is the int summation, and it is going to take one integer n here, okay, and another is a multiplication, okay, so I'm going to multiplication, and it is going to take an integer here as well, right? All right, so that's the two functions signature, okay, or so functions prototype. So actually, so there are too many names: function signature, function head, function prototype, function declaration, not implementation, not definition, okay? So you want to see, because also we are going to just call them, so what, function prototype, okay, so prototype, okay, so all right, so function prototypes, you can tell that one for summation, one for multiplication, okay? And about their implementation, so I'm going to implement them so after the main function, and right here. And my preference is, so of course, well, oh, silly me, so almost killed my program. so luckily I have it saved, but now, so let's see, so how can I, where am I? No, oh no, this is not the exact code, right? So that I have here. So where can I find my lovely code? Indeed, I messed up with the one compiler. So let's see. So go to the code and go to, shall I find it from here? So let's go to my account. Yes, code here. Okay. All right. So now, so 1 day ago, and this is 4 days ago. So I guess that's for the previous video, right? And let's click into the 1 day ago here. Okay. All right. So now I'm back. Happy that. Okay. So the program is still there. And all right, so but now, so are you going to take any of my input? Yes, you are. Okay, cool. And let me see that, hey, so do I have my functions prototype? No, I don't have my functions prototype, not a problem. I can redo it. Okay, so this is the function prototype. Okay, function prototype is the first sum, okay, summation. And you say, hey, so what is the first integer? That will be the return type. We want to return an integer, okay? And so stuff inside the round parentheses, what are they? They are my parameter list. And right here, so this list has only one element, which is the integer n here, okay? And multiplication, yeah, multiplication. Takes the integer n here as well, okay? And all right, so that's our function's prototype. Excuse me. So right here, summation, okay, and takes the integer n here, okay, and insert this function, okay, this is called functions implementation, okay, and also I can tell that, hey, so I entered one too many characters, okay, for the closing curly bracket. So the first thing is I'm going to have, let's say, so summation, let's say, so just the results, right? So the results, I want to initialize this result to be 0, okay, because 0 is what? Identity to plus or identity to summation, okay, or add operator, okay. And of course, also I'm going to use this loop, and you can tell this loop looks identical from last video. So if you check out my last video, okay, for int I is 1, okay, I less or equal to, yes, because this is inclusive, less or equal to n, okay, what I'm going to do is do the I incremental, okay, All right, so right here, what I'm going to do is result. Okay, so plus equal to I, and then that's it, right? So don't abuse blank space. But all right, so don't forget to return the result. Did I spell result right? No, not this one. Okay. All right, so that's a correct one. Okay, so the result is good. Okay. All right, with that, I said build your program incrementally. What I mean by that, also you have one function. How about you test this one function? Okay. And let's just do the standard cout, and let's say, so we are going to have, okay, so we are going to have what? We're going to have the summation, okay, and summation, okay, and then so let's go ahead and do the summation of n, right? And then so standard, let me do the standard end of the line here, okay. And of course, well, it is going to take this 10 as the n, okay, but also I need to have what? I need to have this 1 as the standard input, right? So although this part is for the summation, it's actually not making its dispatching work, but it says, hey, so this, we will take the input as 1, okay? And based on that, that's good. So let's go ahead and run this program, and I'm expecting to see, besides this prompt hint, okay, I'm expecting to see 3 lines outputted. The first is the n is 10, and second choice is 1/3 will be, well, if we add 1 through 10, we will have 55 as the answer, right? Recall, is that my second video or the first video? I forgot, okay? All right, so go ahead and now, so it goes by what? This is the compilation error, okay? End of the line, right? So ENDL, okay, not ENL, okay? Fixing that, and then let's go ahead and run this again. Excellent. What do you see here? The summation, okay? That means also my summation function has successfully passed the basic test, that is adding 1 through 10, okay? Looks good to me. And of course, also we are going to quickly develop the second function, which is the product function, okay? And then so the product function, guess what? It will be not product, my bad, multiplication, okay, so multiplication function, okay? And it will be quite similar to our summation function, right? And all we need to do is actually, so instead of doing the multiplication here, okay, and you can tell that I'm going to copy and paste, okay, so the code from the summation, okay, and right here, so it's one change. Instead of plus equal, you want multiply equal, okay, that is to say, so just multiply I to result, okay, and then so we will see the result, okay, and all right, so, and of course, also, if I go ahead and run this, guess what? Well, so if I just run this program, so I will have a result always be 0. Why is that? Because I took the incorrect initial value on line 46, the incorrect initial value for result of a product. I put 0 there. You know, 0 times anything is 0, right? So I need to update this 0 to 1, because 1 is the identity for multiply operation. Okay, 1 times anything is anything, right? So unlike 0, 0 times anything is 0. Okay, 0 plus anything is anything. So right here, 1 times anything is anything. So I will going to use this 1 here. Okay. All right, of course, we'll also go back to our main function, do it incrementally, and right here. So instead of doing the sum, so we would do both summation and the product, right? And again, so multiplication, okay? And we'll do the multiplication. But we will see things like that, okay? So we have, that is a hint that I may have a typo somewhere, okay? Multiplication, okay, so multiplication, so multiply. So this looks right, okay? And also, so you can double click on the variable, okay? And you can tell that, hey, so it looks good, okay, so, but why, so it gives me that, okay? So let me take a look. So multiplication, okay, multiplication, all looks good to me. So, but let me go ahead and, okay, so carry on the multiplication, okay? And don't forget to pass it variable n, okay, and do the standard end of the line. All right, so with that, 1 times 2 times 3, I don't know what is the answer, but I'm going to so go ahead and hit the run button and see. Wow, you can tell that this is actually a fairly big number, right? And you say, hey, so you forgot to put some format characters like the colon here to make it look better, okay? Let's go ahead and do that, and space, right? And it looks okay to me, right? So because also, if I recall that, Yeah, somehow I've seen this number. I guess it's from a similar question, but this one really looks good to me. Okay. Anyway, so that's okay. The program is almost there. Okay, we have two functions developed. We have the input and output taken care of. Okay. Now the thing is, okay, it didn't it didn't make that choice which operation to perform, right? So instead, okay, it does both. You say, yeah, so it does both, and both are correct in terms of they both pass the test cases here. Okay, a very simple test case. And let's go ahead and modify this part, okay? So that we will have, okay, so we will choose what to do, okay? So it goes by if the choice is, let's say if user's choice is 1, indicating that be careful that you write double equal sign here for comparison, okay? Single equal sign for assignment, double equal sign for comparison. If user's choice is 1, so what do you want to do? So you just want to do the summation. Okay, so I'm going to cut the code and paste it here. Okay, and else you don't need to say, hey, so the else the choice is well. So let's say, so of course you say, hey, so you can have the else if, but to keep it simple, just else, right? And then so what we are going to do is we are going to call the multiplication. Okay, so that we will output the multiplication, and of course also for the indentations along with also my usage of the starting curly braces. Sometimes I would just leave it at the end of the previous line. Sometimes also I will start with a new line. Okay, but be consistent, right? So that you can tell that, hey, so yeah, so even for my own program, so let's edit it a little bit, and it will be consistent. Okay, and especially so if you are in a programming class, okay, assume that your program is graded by, let's say, so human being, right? So either instructor or your a teaching assistant, okay? Or as long as it's not an automatic system, right? So even for the automatic system, yeah, including the automatic system, you can say, hey, so be consistent with the style, right? So if you want a new line for the starting curly braces, go for it. Okay, not a problem. If you want to attach it to the previous line at the end of the previous line, like Java style, go for it. That's fine. Okay, just be consistent. Okay. All right. So with that, so you know that for now, so our choice from the standard input is only 1 here. So that is to say, so I should see the summation output here. Okay, and also that, hey, so because I know that this program can do the output of the n and the choice, right? So let's just go ahead and comment out these 2 lines, and the shortcut in one compiler and many other compilers will be also control or command // okay. But I do want to keep the new line characters, right? So let's go ahead and do the following, right? So instead of all right, so cout standard end of the line, okay, and do another end of the line here, okay, so that's end of the line here, so that we will just have some better representation from the output. Okay, so you get ready. So let's go ahead and hit the run button, and you can have now. So the summation is 55, which is good. Okay, all right. So if I go ahead and change it to 2, and of course the multiplication will be shown. So that is a multiplication that we saw from previous program. Okay, based on that, I would say, yeah, this program seems okay now, and we can just go ahead and ask more questions. Yes. Okay. Always ask more questions after you're done with the program. Okay. For example, number 1, what is an integer overflow in C++? Okay. What is a proper range in C++? Okay. You can always ask, hey, so what is a proper range? What is an integer overflow? So if there's such things in Python, right? So that just try different languages and you will see. Okay. Second, well, so you go ahead and say that, hey, so for the duplication, okay, and of course, if you're a beginner, so you can toss this question to ChatGPT or to any AI, say that, hey, so for the duplication that we had here, okay, so is there a way that we just write more context code so that we don't have any duplicates here, okay? Or think about, hey, so if I didn't check this identity for multiplication, okay, and if I always receive 0, okay, can I just toss my program along with the expected output, along with the question to some AI assistant tool? I use Gemini a lot, right? And I use GitHub Copilot as well, so that we will have a let's say, so the AI's opinion about, hey, so how we can make this program work. Okay, I just made a video about, hey, so we are definitive. I mean, human beings, we are definitive. We define what to be done. okay? And we ask AI to help us get them done, so that we don't just be also, hey, so AI, you will take over everything, and I will just also listen to you. Nothing like that, right? So we define the tasks that we want to perform, okay? All right, so that will be for this question. And of course, also other questions like, hey, so can I have a mouse test cases, okay? Can I have the input and outputs redirected from a file, so on and so forth. Okay, so just go ahead and ask and answer questions as you like. Okay, don't ask too many. So because also I don't want my viewers, or I don't want anyone who's new to programming just get lost in a bunch of questions and could not figure out what to do. Okay, that is not good. Anyway, so this is my simple program, and let me see. So maybe one last step is to go over this question, okay? And not question, go over the solution here, okay? I don't have it posted on GitHub or any other platforms, but you can always pause the video and take a look, okay? And you can tell that, hey, so line number 1, so this is the include of the IO stream, and a bunch of comments. I always paste the questions, copy and paste the questions to the source code file, right? So that we can see that, hey, so what does the question looks like? And the functions prototype here, okay? And by the way, so functions prototype, so they are not implementation or definition, okay? And some may misuse the definition. Hey, so we are defining a function here. No, we are not defining a function. We are declaring a function. We are declaring 2 functions here, okay? They're different. And to the main function, you prepare the variables, you get the inputs, okay, so pretty much standard, and you do the output format control, and you based on user choice, choose what to do. Okay, so either do the multiplication or do the summation, right? And return 0. And then, so to the functions implementation, this is my first function, okay? And this is my second function. And of course, you say, hey, so I'm new to functions implementation, I have no idea about it. Not a problem. You have AI in 2026, right? So go ahead and ask them. Hey, show me some examples of the function. I just want to see, okay? That would be wonderful. All right, guys, thank you so much, and see you in next practice. Bye now.